Welcome to Down the Forest Path, a seasonal knitting podcast. This episode is going to be a little bit different from the usual because today I'm not going to do a podcast episode. The weather has finally warmed up, but it's kind of grey and gloomy outside, so I thought, because I felt the urge to do some spring cleaning, it's the perfect day to sort out my yarn stash. I like to think my yarn stash is usually quite tidy. I think it's not that bad, but with all of the new yarn that came in for Christmas and for my birthday, I think I could organize some things a little better. So I want to just go through all of it, put it all on the table, and then sort it out. And also I have this little cute display shelf for yarn, and I feel like that's kind of been stuffed with yarn to the extent where it's not that cute anymore, so I have to sort that out too. So grab a cup of something nice and cozy and let's get started with sorting out this stash. First of all, let me give you a little overview of what is there. We've got yarn where there shouldn't be any, and it is assigned to tidy up the stash for sure. So normally I have this cubby in the living room that also just now looks super untidy, which I don't like. Then I have this yarn display shelf where normally the nicest yarns that I have go, and it also looks not so tidy at the moment. Here are some minis, scrap yarn jar, some yarn in here that I don't plan on using super quickly, apart from these minis that are for shawls. I have 2 sets of Manos del Uruguay in here that I want to use soon, and there's a third one somewhere else. Where is it? Ah, here. So I also have this one, so that's going to be 3 really nice shawls. UFO basket over here that we have. So this is my Drops and Knitting for Olive cubby. That should be mostly fine. It's also sweater quantities worth here and there. Then another cubby with mostly sweater quantities. I think this one I might leave actually untouched because it's quite sorted anyway, as you can see. And my minis. Some more drops, Malabrigo Rios, and a 2-cell silk shawl that's waiting to be knit up. And some rests of yarn, some really nice shawl yarns that I should be using to make shawls, and project bags. And one finished object actually, so I should tidy this one as well. Okay, right, I think you have seen what we're dealing with here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all on my living room table so I have a good overview. And then I will have empty cubbies to put stuff back in and see what goes where. It's also generally recommended that if you do have your yarn in open storage, like I do for most of mine, that you take it out every once in a while to make sure that no bugs have gotten to it. I've been really lucky so far. But it's better to rotate the yarn every once in a while to make sure that it sees the light of day, to scare off any critters that might otherwise think that this is a good opportunity for them to build a nest. Okay, I think it's time that I grab a coffee and then I start putting the yarn on the table. And once that's finished, I think I'm going to also talk to you a bit about a few of the yarns that I have and point them out, where I got them from, what I plan to do with them, things like that when I put them back. So here we have it, the mountain of yarn. As you can see, it's a lot of single skeins of fingering weight yarn and quite a few repeated offenders here, like drops alpaca, lots of drops alpaca, quite a few drops baby merino, and a lot of, where is it? Malabrigo Rios here, here, and a few other ones. All right, I think next thing I'm going to do is clean out the cubbies. And for cleaning out the cubbies, I'm just going to use a like very gentle organic cleaning product, which is this one, on just a piece of moist kitchen roll. Okay, short break. And yes, soft drinks are not healthy and it doesn't really fit the cozy vibe, but oh god, when I'm taking that much, sugar keeps me going. Fueled by sugar. Hello and welcome to Wool Mountain. I knew I had a lot of wool and I'm very happy with having a lot of wool and yarn, but oof, seriously, I think I have to slow down my new acquisitions a tiny bit, most likely. Okay. Contemplating. Let's see. So I think what I was really happy with was where my minis were. So they will just go straight back where they came from now that I have wiped down that shelf. They are in one of these like diagonal calyx intersections. That's where all of the minis were stored. And I think I'm quite happy putting them back there. Most of them are Mondschaf mini Auroras. So here you can see a few of them. I sometimes buy minis in the same color twice because then it's for me enough for a little color work hat or something like that. Here's another one that I have from her, that one as well. And sometimes I like to buy the minis if I'm not buying the yarn in person, because then I can see the color better without committing to a full skein, and then next time I might get a full skein. So these are my Mondschaf minis, and they shall move back where they were. I think that's one of the first things that I will do, move back the minis. I also have a few Rohrspatz and Wollmeise minis. A few of them are on the loose, and a few of them are in the yarn packets that they came in. So this one here, for example, this is a Wollmeise birdie set. The birdie sets are like a selection of minis that are color coordinated, so they all fit together very nicely. I originally got this for weaving, but I think I'm going to make colorwork mittens out of the green, maybe with another color like from the set, maybe with another mini entirely, and then use the rest for weaving, because I don't need 300 grams, because this is 300 grams, ladies and gentlemen. So I think I will probably, yeah, weave out of a little bit and knit mittens out of a bit of the rest, or fingerless gloves, because these are 30 grams each. Normally mittens are 20 grams most of the time, so these are a bit more generous, so you can do a bit more different projects with them. Those I think will just go back on the display where I had them, because I love this. I love looking at it. It's too nice to open. Actually, I've had this for like half a year and haven't opened it. Okay, so minis. Then I think what I will definitely do is I will just store skeins and balls that I actually really like in the living room cubby, because I had a few balls in there that were like half finished, and I really didn't like what it looked like, because it always made it look a bit like a storage cubby, and in the living room I like things to look a bit more sophisticated than I actually am. So that is another step to take, and I think apart from that, mostly find storage for the more boring looking yarns. This is not a dish on those yarns, I love them, but like for example an open drops alpaca looks a bit, yeah, I mean, if you like, this is just prettier. This is just prettier in a shelf, you have to admit that. So finding storage where these can go, where they're nice and together, that's also one of the jobs today. Okay, so let's start sorting things back. So I've decided to put the drops alpaca and the few skeins of West Yorkshire spinners that I have in this plastic box that I had, because then I can take it out whenever I'm going to use the drops alpaca and look through, because most of the time I use it for weaving, so I use several colors in one go, and then it's nice if it's in a box and you're not pulling it out of a shelf and then the other skeins fall out and things like that. Also going to weigh all of these leftovers to see how much I have of each, and then potentially maybe put a little note on it or something so that I know, and then store them separately. The ones where it's enough for a project on itself in one place, and the ones where I mostly keep them to use as accents and color work in another one. Okay, I decided all of the rests where I have quite a lot left go in here, and the minis go in there, so all of the kind of small project bits and bobs are in one place. Ta-da! And as I said, these are mostly the Mondschaf Aurora minis. I'm not gonna go through every colorway right now, but if you have questions about them, you can just write me a comment and I'll get back to you. And I'm also going to put my Malabrigo Finos in the alpaca box because they're stored quite safely there and they're wrapped nicely. I don't want to open the packaging just in case I do ever see a moth or something like that in my flat. I'll know these have been kind of safely sealed, so I'd like to keep it that way. That's a shame because I would like to have them out there so pretty. We just started having a huge thunderstorm here, so I decided to sit down with a coffee and a book because that's an opportunity for coziness that's quite rare and I can't miss it. So, most of the stuff on the table is gone and we're now just left with my special skeins and my mostly shawl skeins, but a few more heavier yarn weights as well. And it's now basically about deciding what goes in this little Pride and Joy display shelf, which was a wine bottle shelf, as you probably realized immediately, but I think it's really cute for displaying yarns in. So this is for the yarn that I'm trying to have around to be inspired by to pick a project really soon, and the rest will go in the cubby in the living room where it's also always inside, but not quite as in the face. And a few of these I think might also move into the other room that I showed you where there's more yarn cubbies. So let's go through it because some of these I also would like to talk about a little bit, and we can have a look. I think this is definitely moving into the display case. This is DyeforYarn Cordonette silk. This is 100% silk and it's called Gothic Rosewood, the colorway. It's 330 meters, so I will only be able to make a very small shawl out of it, and I still have to pick a pattern that's a good fit. Here you can see the color. It's this beautiful mauvey, moody, slight, ever so slight blush color, and I completely adore it, but I'm still always looking for a good pattern for it. But that definitely will go in the display case because I do want to make something with this soon. If you have a good pattern idea, then let me know in the comments because 330 meters is a tiny bit tricky to find something for. So we have that. Then something else that's definitely going in the display case is this one here. This is from Mondschaf and it's the Orion yarn quality. It's 70% wool and 30% silk. And this is a heavy lace weight, so it's 600 meters per 100 gram. In the colorway Hodor, so it's a Game of Thrones inspired colorway, and it's this olive green it's a bit more green in real life than it's coming across on camera. It's like very forest greeny. And I definitely want to make a shawl out of this as well. Still need to see how I will arrange the colors in here, but I think probably it will go around. Let's see, how much green do we have lying around here? Yeah, it can go here, I think. It feels super nice. I haven't knit with this yarn quality yet, so I'm very curious about how it will knit up, but first impressions are gorgeous. Then I have this skein that I talked to you about in the last podcast episode. It's Mondschaf Hydra, 100% wool, 400 meters in the colorway Gaia, and this was a birthday present from one of my brothers, so it is much loved and it's very special, so it's definitely going in the display case no matter what, even though it's wool, and I might save it for when it gets a bit colder in autumn again to make a shawl out of it, but it's definitely going on full display. I think probably the blues will end up here, but I might be wrong about that. Then definitely this skein by DyeforYarn is going in here. I plan to weave something with it relatively soon. It's this beautifully, like, kind of very variegated colorway with these gorgeous rainbowy colors, but very muted. It's called The Burden of Dreams, and it's 100% wool fingering weight. So I think this can live with the coordinate silk, and the coordinate silk is so floppy. I always find this when I move it, that it tends to try to flop out of the bottom, so you have to kind of be a bit careful with how you arrange stuff so it doesn't look weird. Okay, so we have that. I think something that should also move into this display shelf is this here. This is Wild Atlantic Yarns Neum, so it's 50% silk and 50% wool in the colorway Quayside, and this is also a fingering weight yarn, and it has these like carneol and very nice turquoise colors, so it looks a bit like a evening at the beach in summer with maybe a bonfire going and things like that. So for me this feels like summer, so it's also going in here. And I mean 50% merino, 50% silk is perfect for a shawl for a warm summer evening as well. Then I think this is also DyeforYarns, and it will also go in here because I'm planning to use it quite soon-ish. So the holder moves over to make space. This is another one of her fingering weight variegated yarns, and then this is also going to come over here. It's also DyeforYarns, you can see a theme here. So I plan to weave these into stuff, but if I find that one skein is enough to weave a shawl out of, I might, out of this like less variegated one, I might knit a shawl. So I will see how I use this. Then I have this here. This is from Skeinqueen. Skeinqueen is a UK-based indie dyer. This is Selkino, the yarn quality, so it's 70% merino and 30% silk, and it's the colorway Salvage. I saw it and I really liked it because I immediately thought, oh, I can make a shawl out of this that looks like feathers. And there is this one pattern on Ravelry, I think it's called Pincha, that is a shawl that is very flexible and like looking at yardage, and I think the pattern is free, might be free, I'm not sure, please check it out, but not so sure about that. But I thought this would make a beautiful shawl with a like feather motif for that, and I think I should also do that not too far in the future, so it's going here. The same as this other Selkino skein that I have, that is the color Antique Map, and it's very similar. I was questioned why I bought both of these skeins when they almost look the same, but they don't really. Have a look at this. I feel like I really like Skeinqueen's names because I can see why it would remind you of an like antique map, and the colors that were used for the printing, and then someone has kind of spilled a bit of port wine on it and things. It's really evocative. And I might also make this into a pincher shawl, or I might make this into a shawl like with a different lace pattern, because I think with this variegation you would be able to see lace pattern again. It's not quite so bright and in the face. So we have that. Then I should just put this in here as well because I should use it soon. This is such a spring color. This is from Felt Fusion in the colorway Race. It's 50% merino, 50% silk, 400 meters, so it's a fingering weight. And I got this to weave a spring shawl out of. This reminds me of rhubarb crumble or another like springy fruit crumble cake. And yeah, I really like it, but it's always, I got it because the color was so pretty, but that was my heart thinking and not my head, because I don't really wear these colors. So I think I know a person for whom this would be perfect and where it will find a perfect home, and I think I'm going to weave that person a scarf out of it, but I am not 100% settled on it yet. Then I have this Skeinqueen Selkino in Wild Plum colorway, and yeah, it's just this late summer berry kind of shades that reminds you of like going berry picking on a warm summer evening and then coming home, and the like hydrangeas are maybe still blossoming and you're just sitting there in the evening drinking a nice cold lemonade. I think I should also use this relatively soon, so it's going in here as well. And 3 is the absolute maximum for each field of this cubby without it looking super stuffed. So this one is full. Then I have this. This is Skeinqueen Enchant. So this is baby alpaca, silk and cashmere. And when I got this yarn, I had never like had cashmere yarn before. It was one that I got right at the beginning of my knitting time, and I touched it and I was like, I've never felt yarn that soft. It's so incredibly soft. It is, in hindsight, not something that I would probably buy now anymore because it's a bit too colorful for me, and the alpaca gives it a nice halo, but it's a bit kind of hairy for me now. I rarely pick yarns like that, but I should use it, and it's going in the living room cubby. The same holds true for this. This is DyeforYarn lace in baby alpaca silk, and this is 800 meters per 100 gram in the color Dead Walnut Wood. And this is also this like mauvey, kind of muted, moody color. So it's quite similar to the first one that I showed you that's here, but it's not the same. It's not the same. And this is silk and this is, so I needed both. So yeah, that's the justification here. And that is also going in the cubby in the living room because I have the perfect pattern for this in mind. I think I will knit a premonition shawl. This is a pattern by Boo Knits out of it. It's this rectangular stole that is super nice. I really like what it looks like, but I think I'm not going to get round to it in the next few months. I just know this is a lace weight yarn. It's going to take forever and I won't have the time. I'm kind of booked in regards to knitting for the next 2 months. Yeah, for the next 2 months. I have a birthday project I need to finish in that time. I have another secret project that I need to finish before a specific date in that amount of time, and I have a third one that needs to be done. And I think if I have time more than that, I'm going to use one of these before I use this. So this is going in the living room cubby. However, this is so spring-like that I can see myself doing something with it soon. This is Skeinqueen again in the colorway She Sells Seashells in Zakino. Don't force me to say this fast, I won't be able to. And I will put this in here because, yeah, I also just like looking at it. So now we have a half full display cubby, and I will also put this in there. This is also Skeinqueen. I buy a few of her skeins almost whenever we go to the UK. This is blush, so it's 80% merino and 20% cashmere in the color Apricot Heart. It's also a fingering weight yarn, and that is also very spring, so it goes in the spring. It goes in the spring pile, but where exactly do I put it? I think I put it down here. Yeah, that's nice. There you go. And what's also going to move in there is this skein from Skeinqueen again, called Maple Durham. This is also in the Zakino yarn quality, and it's this gorgeous, slightly variegated red, and I've been wanting to knit this up for ages. I just never had time with like Christmas knitting, birthday knitting, and all of that kind of stuff. There just wasn't any time, but this has been very high up on my list for the last few months. And this cordonette silk is also going in there. This is DyeforYarn again, and the colorway is called Melting Pistachio Ice Cream, and it is also the like 330 meters per 100 gram one. So if you have a pattern idea, please reach out. I'm curious to hear about it. I might also combine it with the like other color that I have, because I think it works just, but it's going to be very only wearable in spring because it just looks like Easter, these colors together, this like pistachio and like pastel-y, springy. I don't see myself wearing this in winter, for example, so I have to see. I'm a bit hesitant to combine them, even though then I would have enough for a huge shawl. Okay, so that lives here now. I still have a bit of space. So, and a few skeins of yarn left here. I think what is also going to move up there is this Meadow Yarns skein in the color Broken Halo, because I want to make something out of that really soon as well. I cannot tell you what, it is a secret. And what's also going to go in here is, is it? I'm not sure. I have this Skeinqueen skein called Mountain Heather. And I'm just not 100% sure whether this should be in here or in the cubby, in the living room cubby. Ah, it's too pretty. It's going in. It is. Okay, okay. Now you come out here. Very nice, thank you so much. And there's a bit of space left. So I think what's also going in there are these two skeins by Mondschaf. These are Fire and Blood. They're from a different dye lot, I think. So they look a bit different. So I might have to alternate when I knit it up. Don't know if you can see, but it's ever so slight. I might just decide that I don't care, because usually I just don't. I'm not that perfectionist with it. I sometimes wish I was, but it's a hobby, it's a free time activity. It's supposed to be fun, and alternating skeins, I just don't find that fun. So this I have already reserved for another Boonitz shawl pattern, the Danse Macabre one, because I've been toying with the idea of knitting that ever since the pattern came out. But because it's a bit of a bigger pattern, I might have to wait a little bit. And also this is 100% merino, so this is not going to be a summer shawl. But ever since I got this, and I got this like almost half a year ago or something like that, I've been wanting to use it, and I should. So here it goes with the Skeinqueen Maple Durham color, because those are all beautiful reds. And now they're all sorted in there. And I still have a little bit of space. And there's one skein that I've also been dying to knit with, and that's this. This is DyeforYarn. This is the sister shop of, technically this is DyeforWool on Etsy. They have two shops because they have too many yarn qualities for one shop. So they have DyeforWool and DyeforYarn, but the brand is DyeforYarn. And this is their fingering merino silk yak. And this one, I really like it. It's one of my favorite yarns. It's 55% merino, 20% silk, and 15% yak. It's really nice for almost any weather. It's a generous length because it's 120 grams, so it's not just 100 grams, and 480 meters. So this is enough for an Out of Darkness shawl. And Out of Darkness, I've knit two of them, one from linen and one from this exact yarn. It's one of my absolute favorite patterns. It comes out so beautifully. And in fact, when I started knitting, it was kind of what got me like thinking, oh, I will not ever be able to do this, but if I could, I would. This is so pretty. And then I got to a point where I could, and it's been a real source of pride for me, because I never thought I would get this far. I never thought I would be able to do this, and I can, and I'm really proud of that. So if I have time, I can probably squeeze in an Out of Darkness, because it's also actually not a super complicated pattern to knit up. And now we're full with the display shelf. I think that's it for that. And there's only a few skeins left on the table here that I'm going to show you briefly. So I have here this Mondschaf Draco. This is 100% wool, and it's a DK weight at 230 meters and 115 grams. This color is called Truth and Consequences, and this is a superwash merino yarn, and I've been wanting to use this as the color detail on a Jennifer Steingas pullover pattern, but I still have to pick the pattern, and then I would maybe use Malabrigo Rios as the probably gray part of the sweater, or maybe even a drops yarn. I'm not 100% sure yet. And I'm also not 100% sure about which pattern I will do yet, but this is reserved for a colorwork sweater. And since I'm not 100% sure which one I will do yet, I will put this in the living room cubby. Then I have Skeinqueen Cloud Gazer. So this is a baby alpaca mulberry silk lace weight yarn, and it's in the color Deep Lagoon. And this is also one where I probably would not buy it anymore today. This was a purchase that I got when I started buying more expensive skeins of yarn. I just realized I don't knit with like mohair kind of yarns that much, and I didn't get enough for a sweater for this one. So yeah, it's not something I would gravitate towards now, but back then I thought it was just beautiful, and I will honor that decision that young Nicola, like Nicola from 2 years ago, made. and I will find a good project for this, or I will find a good home for this skein to go to. Either or. I'm still really happy with the quality of this yarn. It's super soft, it's beautiful. It's just, I've learned over the years to pick colors that I know I would actually wear and they will actually suit me. This is, or someone in my life who I would knit for, and then I pick that yarn specifically for that person, because this is just going to make me a bit, like, look a bit washed out. I think I'm too pale and too colorless for this. Everything about me is kind of muted, kind of brownish hair, really pale eyes, pale skin. So a color that vibrant will just make me look even more pale than I already am. And then I have these two skeins of Tussar silk. I have this huge one. It is 800 meters of it. It's called Tangled Web of Hope, and it's also from DyeforYarn. And this one is 695 meters for the 100 gram strand, and it's called Shattered Malachite. And this one, I know I had a Bunitz pattern in mind, which I will probably still do. And this one I was thinking about even knitting like some sort of top out of it, because it's super nice. I just don't know how easy it will be to wash, but it would just be lovely. Or like even a cardigan. There's this one cardigan pattern that I've been eyeing ever since my mom pointed it out to me on Ravelry. It's called, I think, the Hitofude cardigan, the brushstroke cardigan, I think. It's just, I have not gotten my head around the pattern yet. I find it super hard to understand, and I usually do not have the time to sit really down and like make a drawing to kind of understand where everything goes with it. So if I do have the time, that might go to that. If I don't, I'm not sure. But these will also go to the living room cubby. Then I have these very incredibly beautiful rustic balls of yarn. I wound them so they're balls. They were tiny skeins before. This is Alice Darmo's Hebridean, and I have that in 3 different colors. Hey, come over here. So I have this white color and this yellow and this gray, bluey gray. I say this white color and this bluey gray because who has used the wool before will know that Alice Darmo's balls of yarn are really beautiful because they have these flecks of color in them. I will hold this one really close to the camera, maybe you'll be able to see. So it gives this kind of heathered effect because it has little specks of red in it, and orange and green, or this white color has a lot of blue in it, and the yellow is the most uniform one. It has little like specks of gray and brown in it. But I got them to knit the oak mittens, I think they're called. But this will now have to wait until this autumn because it's very autumnal to knit those. But I have another pattern in mind that I might actually do before that with this, and then I would have to get some more Alice Darmo in autumn, but that's not really a sacrifice, is it? So I might actually be using these up soon, and if I do, I will keep you posted. But until then, these live in the living room cubby. Then I have this Life in the Long Grass skein. I forgot what the colorway is called, but I used a tiny bit of it to bind off another shawl. I still have like 99% of this left, so this will be a shawl for sure. I will be very careful with it because I kind of unwound it a little bit to get a bit of yarn out for the bind off. This will be used hopefully soon. Until then, it lives in the living room cubby. And the same goes for this Skeinqueen DK weight. This is the colorway 3 Dino, and it's going to be a hat or 2 hats for friends and family at some point, but for now I won't use it right away, so it goes in the living room cubby. Sounds like I'm sentencing it to jail or something like that. And then I have these two here. This is DyeforYarns, and it's their weaving chenille yarn. And I'm going to weave this into a shawl, and I'm super curious how this will come out, because I can only use it for the weft yarn, so the one that goes left right, not for the warp yarn, because it won't hold that tension. But this might come out horrible, or this might come out gorgeous. I will keep you posted. I think I will put these into a special drawer for the more unusual yarns that I have, where these ones will also go. This is Lino Muka from Wolle in Berlin, and this is 100% linen yarn, so it's quite sturdy. I don't know if you can see, the tension is a bit, it's quite wiry yarn, and I will make a shawl out of this held together with Ito Shio, and it will probably be in Out of Darkness, I'm not sure yet, but these will also go in that special drawer. And last but not least, I have this huge Rohrspatz Wollmeise that I got in the sale. It's like, I think 300 grams. It's like, it reminds you of kind of holding a baby or something like that. And I will weave a huge shawl out of this, and you will see it when I do it, but this has always been on the back burner, and I don't know if that will change anytime soon. Living room cubby. Oof. To anyone who stuck it through the whole yarn babble, congratulations. So now I'm going to tidy that stuff away, and then you will see the final result of the tidying action that we did today.